Can you just let us into the story of the PDP zoning arrangement? As a founding member of this great party, how did this issue of zoning come up and what were the agreements?
Okay, zoning came up when we formed this party because what triggered it off was that those of us from southern Nigeria appealed to the leadership of the party that in the First Republic, the country was governed by Tafawa Balewa as Prime Minister of Nigeria. And we in the South, we supported him. The second leader came under the presidential system, and that was Shehu Shagari, again from the North. And the South supported him. Then we had a Southerner who was largely supported and believed to have won the election. That's Abiola. But unfortunately, his election was annulled. And following that annulment, when we came to the Fourth Republic, we said that it would be difficult for us in the South to go back to the South and campaign for a Northern presidential candidate. The South was still licking the wounds of Abiola's annulled election, and having had two previous Northern heads of state, we thought that it was time that the South became president. So we made that case strongly, and the National Executive Committee of the party approved that zoning. And while we agreed to zone it to the South, we also said that the chairman of the party should then come from the North. Now, who were the beneficiaries of all this? When we were forming the party, Alex Ekwueme was acting for us as our chairman and founder, and Jerry Ghana as his secretary. When this agreement was made, then Solomon La became our chairman, and the secretary was zoned to the South, and I became the national secretary. Now, having done that, it meant that the presidential candidates will then come from the South. And all those who contested that election at the Jos Convention came from the South. Abubakar Remi was pushing his inalienable right to run, but we returned his check, and with a letter that the party had officially zoned the ticket to the South. So General Obasanjo, Ekwueme, and so on and so forth, Jim Mobud and the rest of them, they were Southerners. And at the end of the day, Obasanjo won. Now, for the 8 years that Obasanjo was president, all the party chairmen came from the North. We started with La. When La was eased off, we had Gamade. And when Gamade left, we had Amadou Ali. And when Amadou Ali left, we had Audu Ogbe. So all of them came from the North. And then after that, we had Yar'Adua as our president. And with him as president, the chairman had to come to the South. And that's how Obulafo became chairman. Obulafo served Yar'Adua for 2 years, and he died. And then he was supposed to complete his first 4 years tenure when Jonathan assumed presidency. He didn't complete that tenure of 4 years, and he was eased off, and I became national chairman. Again, I had some issues with the governors, and I left. So that 4-year tenure of Obulafo under Jonathan and Yar'Adua had to be completed by my deputy, who acted as chairman, Bello Haliru, and then when he was appointed Minister for Defense, my secretary, Kao Baraji, now completed that 4-year tenure. This again was, the South was not, and especially Southeast, where Obulaf and myself came from, were not anxious to fill that vacuum for the few months left. So after that, Jonathan wanted to continue, and therefore the chairmanship had to go to the North. And then the first person that came on board was Bamanga Tuko. After Bamanga Tuko, he had some issues, and when he left, Adamu Mwazu took over and took Jonathan to the second election. Now, here we had a problem. The problem we had was that the second time that Jonathan was running, the first time it wasn't much of a problem, because even though the North said Yar'Adua had done only 2 years and that they should replace him to recover their remaining 2 years to 6 years. But we said, yes, we have agreed in the party and included in our constitution that there should be rotation and zoning of party positions. But there is a superior document, which is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which empowers Jonathan to do a second tenure on his ticket with Yar'Adua. But having said so, to respect our party zoning, we are going to leave the ticket open. So IBB, Atiku, and other Northerners came on board to run for it. At some stage, IBB stepped down for Atiku. And anyway, at the convention, Jonathan carried the day and was able to do another 4 years, apart from the first 4 years he shared with Yar'Adua. So that was the period that the presence now was down to the south. Now, with this scenario, we now had a vacuum, because the North felt that it was their turn to be president. And even Northerners in our party felt that we need to convince them and wrestle them down with the Nigerian constitution to allow Jonathan to do those 4 years of his second tenure. And they insisted that it was the turn of the North. The party went ahead to field Jonathan again. And that cost us that election, because even our own governors campaigned against us from the North. And the chairman of the party at that time, Adamu Mwazu, was also accused of supporting the candidacy of Buhari. So some of our governors also, who in the North, they believed campaigned for Jonathan, could not even win tickets to the Senate. 1/3 of the constituency of the state they governed as governor. They failed to get a senatorial ticket to come to the Senate. So after this, where we didn't have president again, but the party felt that the North had done their 4 years between Bamanga Tuko and Muazu. So when Muazu left, his tenure had not ended, and the deputy, Secondus, came on board as acting chairman. Then we set up a committee. Now, where is the best place to zone the presidency for us to win? Being mindful that the incumbent was from the North and was going to go for a second term, most likely, we felt that the battleground is in the North. The Kweremadu committee that was set up advised the party that we should go to the North for the presidency. This was in 2019. But after Muazu left and the North, between him and Bamanga Tuko, they had done their 4 years, the party zoned the chairman to the South. And then Secondus was chairman at that time from 2017. Now, his tenure is supposed to end in December 2021. That's at the end of this year. So the question in the party now is, since the Constitution allows for second tenure for the members of the working committee, should the zoning remain as it is, or as the party has been doing after every 4 years, and also taking cognizance of which zone the presidency is from, the next convention, all offices in the South will go to the North, and all offices in the North will come to the South. And when they do so, they are divided again into 3, so that the zone or in the South that had a certain set of officers does not repeat. It will go to another zone in the North or in the South. That's our rotation and zoning. So, and that's how we have been practicing it. So right now, there's that school of thought that says, well, these people have 8-year tenure, let us retain the zoning, and all those who go this time will know that they have one tenure as per that thinking. Others are saying, well, we have been changing these people every 4 years in spite of their having this tenure. And therefore, these people have finished their 4 years and it should change like we have been changing. So there are also 2 issues that have come up. Number one, the Southwest, they have never been chairman in PDP, and they're making a strong case that they would like to be chairman. Like you also know, the Southeast is saying they have never been president, and they have been making a strong case that the presidency should be zoned to the South, and when it comes to the South, they will make a case for it to come to the Southeast. And this is supported by the Southern Governors Forum, irrespective now of party affiliation, believing that after President Buhari must have completed 8 years, that naturally the presidency should come to the South. So they're making that case. And they don't think that it is right for the North to continue for another 8 years or so. Now, I think that there's a school of thought in the party which I support that we should listen to. That school of thought says that in Africa and third world countries, our elections are not transparent. And therefore, we, not being the party in government at this time, we should zone to win. When we win, then we can return strictly to our zoning principles. And in zoning to win, we should look for a consensus candidate who can chaperone this party, be able to mobilize our party, be able to restore the confidence Nigerians have in our party, be able to robustly campaign against the ruling party and bring out the reasons why Nigerians should not vote for the ruling party and this time come back to vote for PDP. If we get that gentleman, we should zone the chairman to him and let him till the ground and get the party acceptable once more to Nigerians before even we choose a presidential candidate. And we should leave the ticket open. Whoever wins as the presidential candidate and wins the election, if he happens to come from the same zone that this chairman who has done this job for us comes from, then he can be absorbed into the government, and then we get a chairman from the opposite region from where the president has been elected. But we have strategized to make sure that for the chairmanship now, our best foot forwards. For the presidency, our best foot forwards. Some people have also said that it is important that we should allow the party in government to zone their presidency first. Because if they make the mistake of returning to the north, we will now say that APC, in their usual impunity, is not respecting the opinion of even their governors in this southern Nigeria and the general feeling in the country. And they have gone again to the north to pick their candidate. Now, if PDP now thinks that once more, like last election between Buhari and Atiku, the battleground is in the north, then we can find a reason to convince our southern supporters that we are going back to the north because we want to win. If APC zones to the south, then PDP can say, okay, who is likely to emerge? Where do we pick a candidate that can beat that southern candidate that APC is going for? And then we can then sit down and zone to that area and get our candidates from that area to be the ones to vie for the presidency. So I think that the most important thing, we try as much as possible to respect this zoning because it brings unity, it brings fairness, it brings equity. Every part of the country feels a sense of belonging. But at the same time, when we have certain issues, like when Jonathan was serving after the death of Yar'Adua, we allowed him to continue for a second term of that ticket based on the constitution that gave him that power. But we didn't stop the North. Again, you know, it happened when Obasanjo was finishing his second tenure. There was this rumor that he wanted a third tenure. And because of that, the candidates came from everywhere, both North and South. But when the third tenure was defeated in the National Assembly, he had no alternative but to support the North, and that's how Yar'Adua came in. He respected that zoning, in spite of how much the Southern candidates had spent all over the country campaigning. So, we try as much as possible to respect the zoning when there are other issues that we must consider for us to win the election. These things will be understood by the party, and if any part of the country is going to be short-circuited by that strategy to win the election, they will understand why that decision was taken. And if we win the election, they will be compensated in the incoming administration. So that has been the spirit with which we have done this, and it has helped us all these years.
Now, let's just narrow it down and specifics. The PDP has the National Convention just in a few weeks' time or in a month time. And zoning is at the crux of it. Assuming PDP zoning committee suspends that of the presidential election, giving you analysis and analogy that PDP will want to zone to win. Now, but there's no time on the hands of PDP for the forthcoming National Convention. Where would you think zoning will apply in this?
Well, like I said, right now, the National Executive Committee, which is the final decision-taking body of the party, has asked Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi's committee to concentrate on the party positions, leave the presidential ticket and vice president alone for now. Let us just select those that will midwife the party, because the tenure of the current executive is lapsing. So we have to have a new executive. And having said so, then that committee is now challenged with where to zone the offices, including that of the chairman of the party. And as I said, the Southwest is making a strong case that they have never been chairman. They want to be chairman. And the Southeast and Southern governors are saying no, let the chairman come from the North because we want the South to go for presidency. And we are saying none of these arguments supersedes the argument that we should go for a candidate who can midwife our party at this time. And we zone it to that place, and we go and take that consensus candidate and let him know that if the president comes from his zone and succeeds in winning the election for us, the president and the chairman cannot come from the same zone. He has to resign, and we get a chairman from the other zone. So that is the strategy that the National Executive has given to this committee. Forget about chairman, zone the party offices. Yeah. And now they are grappling with the pressure from Southwest and all that, which is the usual thing. Not everybody will agree. People are playing cards closest to their chest on which way to go, and you can't blame them for having ambition and being in politics and wanting to have things the way it will suit them. But we have to look at the overall picture. The party has to win to remain in government, to remain in power, to be able to change the gruesome situation in which this country is at this time. And any sacrifice we make in order to put our best foot forward at this time is the superior strategy to follow.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.